The smell of burnt toast. That is how I discovered my boss had been lying to everyone. I was working the morning shift at the Grand Horizon Hotel. The lobby was quiet. Then I saw a man in old clothes cleaning the floor. He was the new janitor. But something was strange. He looked at the gold decorations with sad eyes. Why would a janitor look so sad? Suddenly, my manager, Mrs. Cruz, walked by. She laughed at the janitor. "You missed a spot," she said. The janitor just smiled. But I saw his hands shake. That night, I found out the truth. The janitor was not a poor man. He was the son of the hotel owner. And he was here to test who was kind. But why would he hide his identity? And what would happen to those who failed the test? My name is Lena. I work at the Grand Horizon Hotel as a receptionist. It is a big hotel with many rooms, a pool, and a fancy restaurant. The guests are rich. They pay a lot for their suites. But the workers, like me, are not rich. We work hard for small pay. One Monday morning, a new janitor arrived. His name was Marco. He was tall and had kind eyes. But his clothes were old and dirty. He carried a mop and a bucket. The other workers laughed at him. "Look at that poor man," said the bellboy. "He looks like a beggar." I felt sorry for him. I said, "Good morning, Marco." He smiled. "Good morning," he said. His voice was soft. Mrs. Cruz, the manager, was very mean. She saw Marco and shouted, "You clean the lobby floor. And do it fast." Marco nodded and started to work. The floor was already clean, but Mrs. Cruz wanted to show her power. I watched her. She was always cruel to the workers. But today, she was worse. Later, I brought Marco a glass of water. "Thank you," he said. "You are kind." I asked, "Why do you work here?" He looked down. "I need money," he said. But I felt he was hiding something. His hands were soft, not like a janitor's hands. And he spoke like an educated man. Something was wrong. At lunch, I sat with my friend Anna. She works in housekeeping. "That new janitor is strange," she said. "Why would a young man take such a low job?" I shrugged. But inside, I was curious. I decided to watch him more. That afternoon, Mrs. Cruz made Marco clean the toilets. He did it without complaint. But I saw his eyes. They were not sad. They were angry. He was testing us. But I did not know yet. At the end of the day, Marco left through the back door. I followed him. He walked to a fancy car. A black car with dark windows. He got in. I was shocked. Why did a janitor have such a car? I knew then, Marco was not who he seemed. And the test had just begun. The next day, I could not stop thinking about Marco. Why did he drive a fancy car? Why did he hide his identity? I decided to ask him directly. At break time, I found him in the storage room. Marco, I said, I saw you last night. You got into a black car. Who are you? He looked at me. His eyes were serious. Lena, he said, I am not a janitor. I am the son of the hotel owner. My father sent me here to test the staff. He wants to know who is kind and who is cruel. I was shocked. But why? I asked. Because my father is old, he said. He will give me the hotel soon. But he wants to make sure the staff are good people. So I pretended to be a poor janitor. I have watched everyone. Mrs. Cruz is cruel. She will be fired. But you, Lena, you are kind. You will be rewarded. I did not know what to say. Does anyone else know? I asked. No, he said. You are the first. But please keep my secret. The test is not over. That afternoon, Mrs. Cruz made a big mistake. A guest complained about the room. The guest was a rich man who wanted a suite with a view. Mrs. Cruz was rude to him. All rooms are the same, she said. The guest was angry. He asked to speak to the manager. Mrs. Cruz laughed. I am the manager, she said. But the guest was not satisfied. He called the hotel owner. Marco saw everything. He was standing in the corner, holding a mop. He did not say anything. But I saw his face. It was hard. Later, Mrs. Cruz saw me talking to Marco. Why do you waste time with that janitor? She shouted. He is nobody. I wanted to tell her the truth. But I kept silent. Marco smiled at me. He knew I was loyal. That night, Marco called me. Lena, he said, tomorrow, everything will change. Be ready. I was nervous. What would happen to Mrs. Cruz? What would happen to me? The next morning, the hotel lobby was full of people. All the staff were called to a meeting. Mrs. Cruz stood in front, looking proud. She did not know what was coming. Then, Marco walked in. But he was not wearing janitor clothes. He wore an expensive suit. He looked like a different man. Everyone was shocked. Mrs. Cruz opened her mouth. What is this? She said. Marco walked to the front. "Good morning," he said. "My name is Marco Reyes. I am the son of the hotel owner. My father sent me here to test the staff. For 1 week, I worked as a janitor. I saw everything. I saw who was kind and who was cruel." The staff gasped. Mrs. Cruz turned white. "No," she whispered. "It cannot be." Marco continued. "Mrs. Cruz, you were cruel to me and to other workers. You shouted at me. You made me clean toilets. You laughed at me. You are not fit to be manager. You are fired." Mrs. Cruz started to cry. "Please," she said, "I am sorry." But Marco shook his head. "Sorry is not enough," he said. "You had many chances to be kind. You chose to be cruel." Then Marco looked at me. "Lena," he said, "you were kind to me from the first day. You gave me water. You said good morning. You did not laugh at me. You are a good person. I want you to be the new manager." I could not believe it. Me? A manager? I started to cry. "Thank you," I said. "I will do my best." Mrs. Cruz walked out of the hotel. Her face was red with shame. The other workers looked at me with respect. But I knew the truth. Kindness is always rewarded. And cruelty always brings its own punishment. Marco smiled at me. "The test is over," he said. "But the real work begins now." That day changed my life. I became the manager of the Grand Horizon Hotel. I worked hard to be fair and kind. Marco and I became good friends. He taught me many things about running a hotel. And I taught him that kindness is the most important quality. Mrs. Cruz never found a good job again. Her reputation was ruined. People heard how she treated the janitor. No one wanted to hire a cruel manager. I learned a valuable lesson. Always be kind to everyone, no matter who they are. You never know who is watching. The poor janitor could be the boss. The beggar on the street could be a millionaire. Treat everyone with respect. Now, when I see new workers, I remember Marco. I remember how a simple good morning changed my life. I teach my staff to be kind to every guest, every worker, every person. Because kindness is a language everyone understands. And that is the true secret of the Grand Horizon Hotel. Not the gold decorations or the fancy suites, but the kindness in our hearts. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe for more. Learn English with emotional stories every day.